The air in Blackwood Creek, Oregon, on October 14th, 2023, carried the crisp, damp scent of pine and decaying leaves, a perfume of autumn that Jessica Holloway, the lost artist, found intoxicating. Just 24 years old, with a slender build and a cascade of long, wavy auburn hair usually corralled into a practical ponytail, she was a creature drawn to the earth's subtle transformations. Her hazel eyes, alight with the spark of a nascent vision, scanned the dense forest that pressed in on the winding logging roads just outside town. She was here, in this wilder part of Oregon, precisely because of this raw, untamed beauty. It was a stark contrast to the manicured lawns of her suburban upbringing, a place that had always felt too small for her expansive artistic spirit. She'd packed her well-worn leather satchel, stuffed with sketchbooks, charcoal pencils, and a small tin of watercolors, as naturally as breathing. Today, she'd driven her trusty, if slightly battered, blue sedan deeper into the woods than usual, following a barely there track that promised a secluded overlook. The goal was simple: to capture the ephemeral light filtering through the towering Douglas firs, to translate the hushed reverence of the ancient forest onto paper. Jessica craved a life of artistic expression, a life far removed from the cacophony of the city she'd left behind. She yearned for connection, not just with people, but with the pulse of the natural world. Her professors at art school had recognized her raw talent, her unique perspective, but also her quiet determination. She wasn't one for grand pronouncements. Her art spoke for her, a visual diary of her observations, her feelings, her search for meaning. She'd chosen Blackwood Creek for its tranquility, its proximity to vast expanses of wilderness, believing it would be the fertile ground for her burgeoning career. She wanted to complete her studies, yes, but more than that, she dreamed of a life where her art was not just a pursuit, but her livelihood, a way to share the quiet wonders she found so captivating. The faint scattering of freckles across her nose seemed to bloom in the dappled sunlight as she stepped out of her car, the heavy satchel slung across her body. The engine ticked as it cooled, a lonely sound in the profound silence of the woods. A rough-hewn sign, weathered and almost illegible, marked the beginning of a trail. It read, ominously, "Danger, unmaintained road. Proceed at own risk." Jessica, ever the artist seeking the untrodden path, saw only potential. She pulled out her phone to snap a quick photo of the sign, a small smile playing on her lips. This was the adventure she'd been seeking. The last known moments before she became the subject of a town's deepest fear. The forest seemed to watch, ancient and indifferent, as she adjusted the strap of her satchel, took a deep breath of the cool, earthy air, and stepped onto the path, her auburn ponytail swaying gently. The car door clicked shut, a sound that echoed, and then there was only the rustling of leaves, the distant call of a raven, and the deepening shadows of the Oregon wilderness. The air grew cooler, the silence more profound, as she ventured further from the familiar world, drawn by the muse of the ancient woods. This would be the last time anyone saw the vibrant spark in her hazel eyes. The last time her presence registered on the edge of human awareness before she was swallowed by the vast, indifferent green. The clock in the small apartment on Elm Street ticked with an agonizing slowness, each second an eternity for Sarah Jenkins. It was past midnight on October 14th, 2019, and Jessica Holloway was still not home. Sarah, usually a vibrant young woman, now looked like a ghost of herself. Her petite frame, around 5'4", the search for Jessica Holloway had consumed Blackwood Creek for weeks, turning its normally tranquil streets into a hub of grim determination. Sheriff Brody Ashton, a man whose face was etched with the weary lines of countless cases, felt the weight of this one more than most. A lifelong resident, he knew the labyrinthine logging roads and the impenetrable embrace of the surrounding wilderness intimately. He'd seen the hope in Jessica's parents' eyes slowly wither, replaced by a hollow grief that mirrored his own gnawing sense of failure. His objective was clear: to find Jessica, to bring closure, to finally put this ghost to rest. He carried the burden of every unsolved case, but this one, the disappearance of a bright young artist, felt like a personal indictment. He deployed every resource, organized countless volunteer searches, and interviewed every soul who might have been near those logging roads on October 14th. Yet, the forest remained stubbornly silent, its secrets locked behind a wall of ancient trees and unforgiving terrain. One name kept surfacing, a phantom figure spoken of in hushed tones: Silas Croft, known locally as the Hermit of Blackwood. No one knew his real age, his past, or even if he was a threat or a potential witness. He lived deep in the woods, a solitary existence that invited speculation. Ashton, despite his skepticism, knew he couldn't afford to ignore any lead, however unlikely. He dispatched Deputy Miller, a young officer still wet behind the ears, to try and locate Silas, a task akin to finding a needle in an immense, whispering haystack. Miller, eager to prove himself, but clearly unnerved by the task, navigated the treacherous, overgrown trails, the air growing colder, the silence more profound, the trees pressing in on either side. He'd heard the rumors that Silas had been seen near the logging road where Jessica's car was found, a brief, fleeting glimpse that had gone unreported out of fear or a desire for continued anonymity. The hermit's objective was simple: to remain undisturbed, to keep his solitude, to view civilization with suspicion. If he had seen something, anything, his immediate instinct would be to retreat further into the woods, to become even more invisible. But the relentless, methodical nature of Sheriff Ashton's investigation was like a slow-moving tide, gradually encroaching upon even the most secluded lives. The pressure was on, and the community, desperate for answers, looked to Ashton, their dedicated deputy, to pierce the veil of mystery that had fallen over their quiet town. Sarah Jenkins, too, haunted the edges of the investigation, her grief a palpable force. She visited the sheriff's apartment almost daily, her wide, anxious green eyes pleading for any scrap of news. She clutched a worn photograph of Jessica, her best friend, her confidant, a constant reminder of the vibrant life that had been extinguished, or perhaps simply vanished. Her guilt, the lingering question of whether she could have prevented it, was a heavy shroud. She represented the raw, human cost of Jessica's disappearance, the enduring pain of those left behind, the unanswered questions that festered in the heart of Blackwood Creek. Ashton understood her pain, recognizing in her eyes the same desperate yearning for resolution that he felt himself. The forest, however, seemed to absorb their collective sorrow, its ancient, inscrutable silence offering no solace, no clues, only the rustling of leaves and the distant call of unseen creatures. The search continued, a testament to human persistence against the overwhelming indifference of nature, and the chilling possibility that Jessica Holloway had become just another secret held within the deep, dark heart of Blackwood Forest. The investigation was stuck, a patrol car circling the same remote logging road, a testament to the frustrating lack of progress, while deep within the woods, a gaunt figure watched from the shadows, his silence a potential key to the entire mystery, a mystery that seemed to grow colder and more distant with each passing day, much like the faint scent of wood smoke that sometimes drifted on the wind from an unknown source.